So I'm sitting on the floor because it's so much cleaner. So 2 coats of polybonds, 2 coats of floor paint, and it just makes the gym such a fresher space. Sometime in the future I will put mats down on the floor, but that's not a main priority at the moment. The painting is a huge step up from the dry concrete, so I'm very, very happy with how this turned out. A few little corners to fix. So today is the day before the max out tomorrow, so today is usually my jumps and cleans day, but I might do the jerks today instead, as well as the cleans and jumps. Not gonna lie to you, last night was the first night away mom and dad had it out the baba. Well, not for me, but for both of us together. We went to the Sam Smith concert in Dublin, so I don't think I got to sleep till 2. And I'm an early sleeper as it is, so 2 o'clock. I'm not gonna lie, I sat on the chair, it's a 3-hour drive away. But I sat in that chair before training just for like 15 minutes. It's just one of those days. It doesn't matter how slowly you go as long as you get it done. So we're going to get ready to do it. Just going to warm up with the jumps. I've honestly no idea what I'm going to do in terms of what's it going to feel like until I warm up. I obviously have a certain place in my progression where I should be at the moment. So it's just, when I say I have no idea what I'm going to do, it's going to vary by 5 or 10 kilos, I think. Depending on how I feel. So the cleans and behind the neck jerks and jumps, and I'm just going to warm up the jumps a lot until I get my body temperature up a lot. Nutrition has been very good, so working a lot with a new nutritionist who I'll talk about at a later date. So one of the things he has me doing intra-workout nutrition is creatine, EAAs, and about 75 grams of carbohydrates. Yesterday I did 5k on the rower, so pretty moderate pace. So training wise I feel fresh, nutrition wise I feel very, very good, but just obviously, Welcome back to the training vlog. Yeah. So we got a little weekend of maxing basically. So we've got the final day, the Road to Near Squat program for me, for my prep on this. So this is the first session, one of 2 sessions. The second session is the squat program, and this is the first session as you heard me talking about. So box jumps, behind the neck jerk, and some pause cleans. So everything is moving in the right direction. You'll see what I hit on the squat day tomorrow. So box jumps are feeling really good. So feeling nice and explosive, very, very confident for these for repetitions. So mostly going for kind of as high as I can get for sets of 5 at the moment or so. So it's got to be very doable and very, very repeatable and consistent. Max box jumps don't really do a whole lot for you. It's those sets and reps that are faster, a bit more useful. The higher sets, of course, are very nice to do and are fun to do, like a max out, but a lot of the work is built on the sets and reps, as it were. So this day was pretty light on the behind the neck split jerk. I think I ended up doing 6x3 at 110 kilos. This week I hit 150. So the split jerk, behind the neck split jerk, is interesting because I'd obviously come from doing not a lot of jerks, and then I'd hardly ever done behind the neck split jerk before. So it's kind of funny enough because I'm trying to obviously get in shape for it, but also figure out the technique. And it's one of the lifts Anton's working with me on, as you would have seen from my previous vlogs. There's a lot of things I need to change. So the speed is there. One of my major problems at the moment is actually that overhead position. So the elbows and shoulders are still pretty tight. They've improved drastically over the last 8 weeks, which I'm very happy about. But I am trying to underdo months of adaptation towards jiu-jitsu, specifically gi jiu-jitsu, where a lot of internal rotation, a lot of flex bicep, a lot of flexed wrist, and it's obviously put a lot of tension along the chain. So to be honest, I should be doing more often to try and fix it. I'm going to step it up a bit. I probably should need, realistically, get some soft tissue work done, but I haven't made the time to do it, as the person I generally see is about a 45-minute drive each way, and obviously for an hour treatment is well worth it, but it's a bit of equipment at the moment and I'm quite busy, so I should really be doing it myself also. So I need some shoulder. I've been doing my pecs, got very tight as well, which isn't something that normally happens for me, but from jiu-jitsu the pecs have tightened up, so some soft tissue work there has been very unpleasant. It is getting back there, but I would like it to be better. Anton has some stretches he wants to show me, so I have another session with him this weekend. We're going to work on the clean And on the jerk, I'm very, very happy with how the clean is going. So I hit a 130 kilo power clean that you might have seen on my Instagram. So technically, very, very happy with that. That's the heaviest power clean I've hit since probably last like August. So it's going very well. So it's probably like 20 kilos more than I've done at all recently. So really happy with how that is going. So working a lot of the stuff Anton wants me to change, and it's moving very Ukrainian. So today we're doing the pause cleans. So Anton recommended pause cleans and block cleans as the variations to use in my training. Primarily I'm doing full cleans and power cleans. Those are the main ones I want to push. But on this session, I hadn't done pause cleans in quite a while. I think once or twice with Anton over the last few months. But I wanted to do them today as a limiting factor on the day before the heavy squat. My back was somewhat fatigued from 3x3 at 220 deadlift on Thursday, so 2 days before. So my lower back was very pumped and on fire, but it did not affect things that much. Main thing on these is just wasn't used to doing the pause cleans that much. Technically, not a whole lot was a major issue. I was quite happy with the quality of movement. It was more the power and ability to control it was probably not the best part, but going by the 130 clean a couple of days later, 130 power clean, and definitely heading in the right direction with it. So I just need to be patient and keep working on the positions as much as possible. So obviously using straps for these to stretch out the front rack position, but again I would have to emphasize I really don't recommend using straps for cleans in any fashion whatsoever, unless you've been lifting for more than a decade. I think it's just not worth the bang for your buck, and especially if you are a competitive athlete, you definitely don't need it that much, or at all I should say. So working up just 100 kilos here. So the pause at the knee doesn't really need to be that long. The pause here is probably a bit too low, to be honest. Looking at them, it probably should be a bit closer to the knee joint. Generally you want the pauses at the boundary between the first and second pull, so it's a bit slightly too low, but you're still getting a training effect. The pause isn't really so much for static strength or isometric strength per se. It's more of a timing issue, and it gives you an opportunity to correct the timing. Essentially what you're doing is slowing down the lift to find the right position. You're not really building strength per se. You are of course building strength indirectly, but that's not the real benefit to pause lifts. It's more finding the position, reinforcing that position in terms of intramuscular coordination and general coordination, and finding it and knowing what it's feeling like, and then moving quickly through there. So that's why you should have it at the boundary. So here's the first set of 120, jumped a bit too wide, so that's one of the things I'm working on. So a little bit sharper in the second rep, but slightly too slow. So I went again to speed the bar up. So the main aim on this one, while of course was still to work on the positions, it was just as much to work on the speed as much as possible. So I was pretty happy with these. So 120 for 2x2, so moderate. Jumped wide again, but speed was better. Wasn't using my upper body enough in the turnover of these, which size speed was lacking, but not so bad overall. Decent weight given the progression along the training block. Right, this is the last day of the back squat program. Godspeed, my friends. I'll see you at the end. So here we are warming up for the max out session. So reasonably big jumps today. 70, 120, 170. So back to those kind of normal jumps that I would normally take when I'm in good shape. And then 200, 220. So first up 70 kilos here. So I'm still fine tuning the technique a little bit at the moment. I am just turning toes out slightly and then standing just slightly wider. Just make sure I'm giving myself enough opportunity for my hips to sit in between my heels. And I should be gripping it closer than this, and I was gripping closer with some straighter wrists on the sets you'll see later in the week at the end of the session. So here's 170. So just a single at 170. Just make sure it's moving well. You can tell when you're lifting, at certain percentages, whether it's on or not. So it's feeling quite good. So here is a single at 200. So nice and easy, no problems. So feeling quite good at this, and I'm pretty happy at how that was moving. Here's 220. So this is a 20 kilo, I suppose, PB, or 20 kilos up, we should say, on the start of the training block. So I failed 220 twice the week before I started it. So smashed it. So I should have gone 230 here, but like an asshole, I went straight to 240 because 240 was a number I had in mind that I wanted to do for the maximum, and it is a number I knew
that I was definitely capable of hitting based on the 200s and the 220, especially the 220 just prior to that. So it was a bit too big a jump in a weight I haven't touched in a couple of months. So I should have gone 230 and then probably 240. So failed it, pretty annoyed with that. But there is more of a session to do, so I had to move on and do my deadlifts because there's other exercises to take care of. So this was 164 sets of 8. So as you know from the pull program, there's a lot of volume on it. It pays dividends, but it is quite tough. So I'm using a maximum of 240 kilos on the pull program. I hadn't done 240 in a while, but I'd have figured I was capable of a 240 pull, and it seems to be panning out pretty alright. Whereas for the squat program, I very much tested my limits at the time. So the 200 kilo squat was a good representation of my abilities. Maybe 205 or 210, but as I say, I failed the 220, so I know I pushed the limits and wasn't capable of 220 the week I started the program. Just a second set here, trying it out on the floor. I need to change the matting on top of my platform. I needed to change it to crumb matting. Crumb matting is less pliable and doesn't retain changes in shape as much. It keeps its own original shape better. So like kind of playground matting. So I just need to go dig up some playgrounds and steal the matting there, I would imagine. So concrete was fine because the bar wasn't moving, but it was frighteningly loud. So I was like, okay, can't do too many sets. This is pretty late at night, as I say. So I just did one set there and then left it. So 8s in the deadlift. If you're doing 8s in the deadlift, it means you can definitely do them if you assume you've picked a reasonable weight. It's just you have to make yourself do them. And obviously, deadlifting in the barefoot shoes or socks, whichever keeps you happy. Obviously not deadlifting in heel shoes because you want to maximize it as much as possible. Threw on a belt for these as well. Just trying to do as much of them beltless as possible across all sets, both light and heavy. But then if I do feel like I need it just to prevent a little bit of lower back fatigue, I'll put on the belt and give my lower back a break just while I'm doing everything else multiple days a week. So then I was pretty annoyed, so I came back in on the Thursday. That was a Sunday, and I did a double with 220, which lets me know I could definitely do 240. I restricted myself from going for the 240, but I wanted to just do a heavier squat again and make sure that I was actually capable of 240. So while I didn't do it, I'll have to take that for now and be a good athlete to move on. Here's a 150 split jerk. I think you can kind of see the overhead needs more work there, but the weights are moving well. I'm in a 230 with 5 singles of this, as you'll know from the pull program. So that was moving quite well. So did a couple of sets without the belt and a couple of sets with the belt. And pretty happy with overall. Very happy with the direction training going across everything, actually, to be honest. With jiu-jitsu, with physique, with the strength work, with the cleans. I'm confident I'm moving at the correct weight, and I'm confident I'm moving as fast as I could while training correctly and smartly. So I keep doing what I'm doing in terms of the weightlifting movements. Obviously, you need to work on the mobility a lot. Keep working on Anton's technical advice and work a bit harder on that upper body mobility. Lower body mobility is quite good. Squat's going in the right direction. I'm just really annoyed about not doing the actual 240. And deadlift is going really well. So this is the first time I've literally ever pushed the deadlift for the sake of conventional deadlifting for a 1RM. So I'm quite interested to see what I'll end up with at the end of the program. So another couple of weeks of that to go. I'm enjoying a lot of the bodybuilding work, really enjoying the plyometric stuff. So very happy with training overall, but just, as I say, still annoyed about the 240. But I'll see you next session for a session with Anton and some more squats this weekend.